The 2021 Lane Flicks October Horror Fest.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Kirk from Lane Flicks Media. I moved back into the recording studio, pretty much my closet. I was doing the HorrorFest out in a different spot, but I decided I moved some stuff around. It looks a lot cooler in here now, so I'm going to go back in here. I appreciate everybody who's been watching, coming back, everybody who has watched every one of the HorrorFest videos. I appreciate you. Today we're going to be doing Ernest Scared Stupid from 1991. It's a family horror comedy, really goofy, silly type movie. Rewatching it, I didn't think it was that bad. I looked up just to see like what the critics or critical reviews of it were online. Siskel and Ebert, just like talk about the big ones first. They gave it 2 thumbs down, so they didn't like it at all. I mean, I don't know. Rotten Tomatoes currently has it at 17% on the critic side and a 50% on the audience side. IMDb has it at 5.8, and that's out of 10. So, I don't know. To me, I feel like everyone kind of discounts this movie a little bit too much. Take it a little too seriously. Like, they're goofy, silly movies. They're not meant to be scary, and there's parts of it that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. Anyway, I've loved this movie since I was 5 or 6. I've loved it a really long time. It's a movie that I've always watched around Halloween time, and because it was kids and Halloween and stuff like that, this and like Monster Squad, which we're going to be doing later in the month, there's just some classics that I've always watched since I was younger for Halloween, so that's kind of why they're on the list this year. One of the moment I always think of when I think of this movie, regardless of how long it's been since I've watched it, is the moment where the little girl, I think her name's Elizabeth, who's on her bed, and she's going to bed at night, and she thinks she hears something under her bed, so she looks under her bed. There's nothing there. So then she gets back, up, rolls over in her bed, and the troll monster who's been terrorizing them is there in her bed. So, and as a kid, it freaked you out because, at first they gave you the tease that, no, everything's okay, but right off the bat, just kicking off with the plot, we get the obligatory 100 years ago, on this day scene, and it reminded me a lot of Lords of Salem because this plot of these witches and these people taking down these witches back in the 1800s, long time ago, is impacting current events, and that's kind of what we're following. So in a way, they're similar in that regard in the framework of it. Here and there's some impressive camera work, very spotty. I liken the production quality to like the Leprechaun movies. They're not, they're glorified TV movies, so they were never like spectacular, but they were always fun, to me as a kid. I don't know. So then we're introduced to Ernest in the modern day. In every movie, we kind of have to reintroduce the fact that he's a klutz. So in this movie, he gets trapped in a dump truck because why not? So then the sheriff of the town, who's the dad of Ernest's best friend, who he hangs out with, who's a kid, and it's not weird, comes and yells at Ernest, just scolds him to establish that he's not in good standing necessarily with authority, and he's kind of a dummy, So we learn that Kenny, Elizabeth, and Joey's fort that they've built to ward off evil spirits has been torn up by the bullies, and there's 2 bullies, I think, in this movie that, they're bullies, they're jerks. I'll put a picture of them here because they look just like, bully movie characters. So then, after meddling with a giant old tree in their woods, the ancient evil that Ernest's ancestor locked away is disturbed. Pretty much the rest is stock, troll, run amok kind of stuff, up until the kids decide to shoot like pizza and crap at the monsters, which was pretty great. Rewatching it, this movie has a lot of imagination, and I'm surprised people didn't comment on that aspect of it more because yes, it does get a little boring for a kids movie, but at the same time, it's not like terribly boring, if that makes sense. Like, there's parts of it that are so weird that the parts where there's lulls, you're kind of thinking about what could happen, you know, especially as a kid. Oh yeah, so a really cool note here. The Chiodos, who were the folks that worked on the Critters movie, they did the effects for the trolls in this movie. So, yeah, I mean, you got Critters, you got Killer Clowns from Outer Space, there's some other stuff they've done, but they, yeah, so it's a pretty cool little note there. Some really specific and character comedy moments with Jim Varney, who plays Ernest. He does a really good job of giving you little tiny moments with Ernest that are funny and establish his character, if that makes sense. And yeah, it was really sad when he died, because I remember loving him as Slinky Dog before I ever knew about Ernest. It was a little sad because he was someone who I looked up to when I was a kid. I thought he was a cool guy. Like, yeah, he was a goofball, but he made it okay to be a goofball, you know? Ernest is a special character. So yeah, they established before you get to the trolls at the end that they have this fort where they can shoot all kinds of crap out of it, and they shoot like food, mostly food. I don't know why. These kids' parents are just buying all this food and it's getting wasted in the woods. So yeah, fun fact here: the pizzas that they're throwing, that they're kind of tossing out of the fort, are reused from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze from early 90s. I don't remember what year. So yeah, I just think that's pretty cool. It's two movies I loved as a kid that have that little connection I never even would have guessed. Typically we see Chuck and Bobby, who are the two kind of like quirky weirdo side characters that are in these Ernest movies. In this movie we have Bobby, but we don't have Chuck. And Bobby's the kind of skinnier, weirder looking one. And then we have another character who kind of takes the place of Chuck. He's nowhere near as funny. He has nowhere near as much charisma. He doesn't deliver the lines like super fast and quirky the way Chuck does. So he's missed for sure. The guy's fine. And Bobby is really funny still. So that was cool to see. But yeah, I mean, all in all, at the end of the day, it's a cheesy, quirky kind of Halloween comedy movie that, you know, you show your kids. It's not something that an adult would sit down and be entertained by, you know, not necessarily. But yeah, the effects here are notable by the Chiodos, and I think the performance in every one of the Ernest movies by Jim Varney is always notable. He was I think he was a hero to a lot of kids, and I think there was a whole generation of people that loved him, like a lot of people love Bob Ross, or a lot of people love Fred Rogers. So yeah, definitely a special person in history. So guys, I have a mission. If you want the Ernest Merit Badge, okay, you've sat with me through this whole review. It hasn't been very long, I know. I didn't want to do a long video on Ernest Scared Stupid. But if you want the Ernest Merit Badge, watch the movie, and then tweet or DM me on Instagram your vote of A, is Kirk crazy and the movie is terrible? Am I crazy? Or B, does it get too much hate and it's kind of a fun Halloween flick? Send me A or B on one of the two websites, and then you will have your official. I can't really send you anything. I don't have anything to make patches with, but I'll draw it and I'll send you a picture of it. Okay?
Okay.
So yeah, that's really all I have to say. I didn't have a lot to say. It's just a movie that I don't think a lot of people would watch for Halloween. So yeah, it's just a fun movie to kind of put on like background of a party, or like I said, show your kids, keep them busy, for the Halloween season. After they get home, eating their candy and stuff, just put that on and see if they like it. So we'll be back. I honestly don't know which one we're going to be doing next, but it's been kind of insane having to do all these. I believe Trick or Treat is next, but we'll see. But we're doing Critters and the Monster Squad for Halloween. That's official. That's happening. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And hope everybody has a great night.